Hello children. Today's program is about mass. Now I expect you know quite a lot about mass already. The trouble with mass is that by looking at two objects you can't tell their mass by just looking. Let me explain further inside the shop. Now, have a look at these two objects, children. I'm going to take this brush, this yellow brush, and I'm going to take this floor brush. Now, I want you to look very carefully, children. I'm going to ask you to look at the length of these two. Now, which brush do you think is the shortest brush? Which one, children? Well, yes, you can see by just looking there. This is the shortest. This yellow one is shorter. You can tell length by just looking. But with mass, you can't always tell by just looking. You can't tell the mass of an object by looking at it. Come with me and I'll show you something else. Well, the first thing we do when we're trying to find the mass of an object is to feel it, to lift it, and to feel the weight of it. And as you see, this is quite a heavy object, children. Now, on this side, there's another object, and you can see this is very light. I can feel that it's light. So that's the first thing you do when you are trying to find the mass of any object, is feel it first. Now then, children, I want you to look at these two books. We've got this book here, which is quite a thick book, and this book here. Now, can you tell me which book you think is the heaviest? This one or this one? Well, children, I expect you're right. This is the heaviest book. You can see that it's heavier than this book because this is made of paper and this is made of paper. The two books are made of the same material, so the bigger book will weigh more than this book.
So these objects here are about the same size. Can we say they have the same mass?
Good question indeed. So we're going to try to find two objects of the same size and see if they are the same weight. Let me look around here. They are about the same size, children, you see. Now, do they weigh the same? Is their mass the same? Which is the heaviest object? Now, I can feel that this flower is a different mass than this. Which do you think is the heaviest, children? The flower or the tea? Well, you're right if you said the flower. The flower is the heaviest. So, we have two objects, the same size, but they have a different mass. Remember that, children. Now I want to show you something very interesting, children. Just now, we saw two objects that had a different mass. One was heavier than the other. Now I want to show you something slightly different. I have three objects of different size, but the interesting thing, children, is that all three objects have the same mass. They have the mass of that, and the mass of this, and the mass of that exactly the same, although they're all different sizes.
Let's see how a seesaw may be used to compare masses. Suppose we have two objects, A and B, having the same mass, and put them on each end of the seesaw balance. What happens? Yes, the balance remains flat. That is, A balances B, or we say B balances A. Now, if we remove B and replace it with something heavier, what do you think will happen? Yes, you are right. The end where B was goes down because it is heavier than A. Now, we remove the heavy object and put something lighter than A. You see what happens? The N goes up because the object is lighter than A. So, on a seesaw balance, we can see which object is heavier or lighter.
Many years ago, children, in the markets and in the shops, they used to sell vegetables like this. They used to make piles of them, and you used to buy a pile and pay the same price for that pile as that pile and the same price for that. Now, can you see, children, you may not get a fair pile. This pile of potatoes may be larger than, say, this. So to make it fair nowadays for the customer, we now have a standard unit of measurement. Especially in mass, we need this measurement to make it fair for the customer. Let me just show you this standard measurement we use. We've left the shop now, children, and we've come into this beautiful park to learn a little bit more about mass. So, children, I was telling you that we needed a standard measurement for the measurement of mass. This is a kilogram. It's a stone, and I measured it to see that it was exactly a kilogram. And to show you that, I'm now going to put it on the scale here, and now read the mass of the stone on this scale here, and you see it's exactly 1 kilogram. 1 kilogram. So you see, children, this is a kilogram, the measurement of mass. Now, the shortened version of kilogram is kg. kg. You'll see it in the shops. Have a look now at some of the boxes and packets in the shop we've just been in. Now then, children, if we wanted to find the mass of this flower or the mass of my watch, we need something a little bit smaller than the kilogram. For this, we use the gram. It's a much smaller measurement of mass. Let me show you something about the gram. So for much lighter objects, children, we use a measurement called the gram, a gram. there are 1,000 grams in a kilogram. 1,000 grams in a kilogram. The short version for gram we write as a small g. G, gram.
It means that 1 gram is really light then.
Good question. Now, I want to give you an idea of what a gram feels like in your hand. Just get a piece of ordinary paper like this and fold it into 4 parts. In other words, fold it into quarters. Take one of the quarters by just ripping it just like that. There's a quarter. Children, that quarter is about 1 gram in weight. 1 gram. You can feel it for yourselves and see how light it is. When we put it on the scales, it hardly moves the scales at all. It's so light. Come on, children, now it's your turn. Why don't you find out the mass of some of the objects in your classroom?
The mass of these books is 1 kilogram. The mass of these objects is 500 grams. The mass of this bag is 4 kilograms.
Now then, children, let us find out your mass. My mass is 90 kilograms. 90 kilograms. Now you find yours.
My mass is 25 kilograms. My mass is 20 kilograms. My mass is 20 kilograms.
In some situations, by looking at objects of different sizes and by feeling their masses, we can tell which one is heavier and which one is lighter. We can use a seesaw balance to know which one is heavier and which one is lighter. To know the exact mass, we use the standard unit of measure. Example, the kilogram and the gram. The kilogram is used to measure heavy objects, and the gram is used to measure very light objects.
Well, children, that's all we have time for today. I hope you enjoyed our program on mass. Well, goodbye, children, everywhere. Goodbye.
Wait, children! It's not yet over. Let's see if you have watched the program carefully. Just answer by true or false. We can know the exact mass of objects by just looking at them. True or false? We use the standard unit of measure, kilogram, to find the mass of heavy objects. True or false? There are 1,000 grams in 1 kilogram. True or false? B is lighter than A. True or false?